Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping straight into the Sean Diddy Combs federal sex trafficking trial, which just got underway.
That's right. A lot happening already.
We've looked at a bunch of sources rolling out: Hip Hop DX, Black Enterprise, Forbes, PBS NewsHour.
BBC World Service, legal takes from Robert Gouveia, even Reddit threads and, sites like Hot New Hip Hop and Men's Journal.
So quite a mix. Our mission for you today is to cut through all that noise and give you a really clear sense of these first few days.
Yeah, what are the key arguments taking shape? What are the big developments? What does it all potentially mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it.
It's clear from the get-go, even just picking a jury, that this is going to be under a microscope.
Totally. Day one of jury selection, that was May 5th in Manhattan Federal Court. And Combs was there.
Right. Sources described him as looking nervous.
Yeah, apparently. He even asked for a bathroom break pretty early on. And he was seen, talking a lot with his lawyers about the potential jurors.
Well, you would, wouldn't you? I mean, the stakes are incredibly high for him personally. His input on who sits on that jury, it matters.
And his appearance, that got mentioned too. Gray hair, goatee.
Yeah.
Apparently that's down to jail regulations.
Mm-hmm. No hair dye allowed, apparently. It's one of those small details that kind of highlights the reality of being detained.
It does. And he apparently only said about 9 words publicly that first day. Very brief.
Keeping a low profile, perhaps? Or maybe just the pressure of it all?
Could be. Let's talk about the actual charges, because they are serious.
Extremely. We're talking 5 federal charges here.
Okay, so there's racketeering conspiracy.
That's a big one. Often points to an alleged criminal enterprise.
Then 2 counts of sex trafficking.
Right.
And 2 counts of transportation for prostitution.
And the potential time is staggering. Life in prison is the max for the racketeering and each sex trafficking count.
Wow. And there's a mandatory minimum, too.
15 years for the sex trafficking charges, that's mandatory. The transportation counts, they carry up to 10 years each.
So this racketeering charge, it suggests the prosecution is trying to show this wasn't just isolated stuff, right? Like an ongoing operation.
Exactly. They're alleging he led a criminal enterprise, facilitating sex trafficking, involving heavy drug use, even forced labor, according to the accusations.
And there are these really disturbing allegations about organizing freak-off sex orgies.
Yes, involving coerced sex, including claims about male sex workers.
The prosecution says they have evidence, victim testimony, former staff.
Emails, phone records, travel records, videos, a whole range of things they plan to present.
Of course, Combs has pleaded not guilty to everything.
Right, that's his position.
So the defense, how are they likely approaching this? It seems like consent is going to be a major theme.
It does. They seem poised to argue that the alleged victims were actually former girlfriends.
Involved in consensual, quote, kinky sexual activity.
Precisely. And they brought up this idea that Combs considers himself a swinger.
Right, I saw that.
Yep.
Saying he thought the lifestyle was appropriate because it was common.
Yeah, it's definitely a specific strategy, trying to frame it all as acceptable adult behavior within a certain lifestyle.
But the judge put some limits on that, didn't they?
Yes. The judge ruled they can say Combs considered himself a swinger, but they can't start listing other famous people who might be swingers to argue it's common.
Okay, so the focus has to stay on his specific situation and the alleged victim's experiences.
Exactly, because consent, legally, has to be clear, voluntary, and without coercion. Allegations of drugging or forced labor, even within a swinger context, directly challenge that idea of legal consent.
There was also some talk about a potential diminished capacity defense, trying to argue he couldn't form criminal intent, the mens rea.
Yeah, it seems the government is trying to head that off. It's generally a tough defense to mount, often needing proof of a significant mental defect at the time.
And this connects to ideas like willful blindness, right? Like you can't just ignore illegal stuff happening around you.
Correct. Or voluntary intoxication. Getting drunk or high on purpose generally doesn't excuse actions taken while under the influence. The prosecution will argue against those potential defenses.
Okay, let's shift to key evidence. That hotel video from 2016, the one with Cassie Ventura, that's definitely coming in.
Yes, seems so. Jurors were specifically asked if they had seen it. The judge ruled it admissible.
Even though the defense claims it was manipulated.
Apparently so. And interestingly, the government says they have other footage, like cell phone video, that corroborates the events in that hotel video.
That could be powerful. Visual evidence often is.
Very. And they're expecting testimony from 3 other alleged victims, too.
Okay, so building a potential pattern narrative.
That seems to be the goal, establishing a pattern of alleged conduct.
And the freak-off sessions. Could there be video of those shown?
It's been mentioned as a possibility. Unclear if the public or press would see it, though. Jurors might see it privately.
And then there's that report about uh, a huge amount of personal lubricant found.
Yes, reportedly 1,000 bottles of lubricant and baby oil found at his mansion. Physical evidence the prosecution might use to support claims about the scale of these alleged sessions.
Wow. And Cassie Ventura herself is expected to testify.
That's the expectation, yes. Given the video, her testimony would be central.
There was also mention of another potential star witness who might not make it due to distance.
Yeah, there's some uncertainty there, even with the subpoena apparently issued. Logistical challenges in these big trials. Their story might come later if they do appear.
So the jury selection itself, how long is that expected to take?
About a week, give or take. Opening statements are tentatively pegged for May 12th.
And the whole trial?
Estimated at 8 to 10 weeks. It's going to be a long haul.
They started with over 150 potential jurors.
All getting vetted through questionnaires, individual questioning, trying to find 12 impartial jurors plus alternates.
And some of the questions were pretty specific, weren't they? Asking about knowing other famous people.
Yeah, names like Don Richard, Aubrey O'Day, Kanye West, Michael B. Jordan, even Mike Myers came up, just gauging awareness.
And asking about opinions on Diddy already, or if they'd liked social media posts about him.
Exactly. In this day and age, your online activity can be seen as a window into potential biases, especially in such a high-profile case.
Some other questionnaire points really jumped out too.
Like what?
Asking if they think wealthy people get away with things.
Yeah. Probing for potential resentment or deference towards wealth and power.
And whether they could follow instructions about people not on trial.
Important. Keeping the focus on the defendant.
Whether they watch legal dramas like Law & Order or CSI.
Right. See if they have realistic ideas about the legal process or if they expect, TV drama.
And personal experiences, harassment, domestic violence, crime.
Very sensitive, but crucial for understanding how jurors might react to the evidence and testimony about alleged abuse.
Views on hip-hop artists came up, and views on cooperators who get immunity deals.
All trying to paint a picture of the potential juror's mindset. The judge was aiming to get the jury seated pretty quickly, within 3 days.
And they'll be anonymous.
Yes, anonymous jury. But no plans to sequester them, meaning they go home each night.
Interesting. And apparently about half the initial pool got dismissed on day one.
Yeah, a high dismissal rate. Shows how carefully they're screening.
There was that one story about a juror sharing a personal experience being attacked by a dentist.
Right. Raised questions about potential bias from past trauma, but they weren't immediately excused. It shows how complex assessing bias can be.
One other really significant point. Combs apparently rejected a plea deal.
He did. He confirmed that to the judge, acknowledging he understood the risks of going to trial instead.
We don't know the details of the deal itself, though.
No, those weren't made public. But rejecting it means he and his team feel they have a fighting chance at trial.
So looking at the bigger picture here, this trial could really expose a lot about, well, the dynamics within celebrity circles, couldn't it?
Absolutely, and potentially have major implications for accountability, especially regarding alleged exploitation and abuse within powerful entertainment networks.
It feels like it's happening at a time when these issues are already very much in the public conversation.
Definitely. Issues of sexual assault, power imbalances. There's intense scrutiny right now. The outcome here could influence how future allegations are handled, maybe encourage others to speak out.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the key takeaways from this initial phase. We've got a defendant, Combs, described as nervous, facing incredibly serious charges.
A defense strategy emerging around consent and this swinger lifestyle idea.
And this really intense jury selection process, digging into everything from opinions on wealth to social media likes.
Yeah, the prosecution seems ready to build a case of systematic abuse with witness testimony records and that video evidence.
So for you, the listener, what's maybe surprising or really stands out here?
Well, I think the level of detail in the jury questions, especially the social media aspect, is pretty striking. It shows how our digital lives intersect with the legal system now.
Yeah, definitely.
And the swinger defense, that's certainly an unconventional approach in this context. Plus that detail about the sheer volume of lubricant. It's memorable. And you can bet it'll be part of the prosecution's narrative.
And the potential for other famous names to be drawn in, even tangentially.
Right. It highlights how interconnected that world can be.
So, maybe a final thought to leave everyone with.
Go for it.
Given all these complexities, consent, power, the sheer volume of media attention, the digital age stuff we just talked about.
Mm,
What does a truly fair trial even look like in a case like this?
that's a huge question.
And what responsibility do we have as people following along, not to just jump to conclusions based on, viral clips or headlines? How do we weigh the information responsibly?
A lot to think about, for sure. It's something to keep in mind as we watch this trial unfold over the coming weeks.